Yeah, just a quick review of the book, Triathlon Swimming, Master Open Water Swimming with the Tower 26 method. Basically, the book's divided up into about 10 chapters. I'll name each one briefly just to give you a good idea what's in the book. First one is an introduction to triathlon swimming. Second is the Tower 26 training cycle. So if you're wondering what Tower 26 is, Tower 26 is actually an open water swimming program that the author, Jerry Rodriguez, runs. And he's a very accomplished swimmer. You know, if you look him up on the internet, he's won like a ton of races. I think like over 100 or something. So he really knows what he's doing. Anyway, so the third is, but that's what the Tower 26 program is. The specific open water swimming program. I think actually Tower 26 is, I believe it's like a famous lifeguard tower in California. But anyway, so then the third chapter is training. Fourth is techniques. 5 goes over breathing. 6, kicking. 7 are swim-specific strength and mobility. 8 is mastering open water, which is a lot different than the pool. 9 is race preparation, and 10 is athlete development. The book actually has a couple appendices at the end. There's Appendix A, who goes over equipment, and Appendix B is the Tower 26 program. So yeah, I think it's a great book if you want to learn open water swimming, which I said is a lot different than just swimming in a pool. So I think this is one of the few resources really on open water swimming. I can't find that many books on that. Now, if you do a lot of swimming or triathlons and you do have like shoulder issues, because a lot of swimmers do have these issues, here's another book I want to bring up, the 6-Minute Torn Rotator Cuff Solution for Seniors. Although you can ignore that, it could be for anybody, really, any athlete. It's a good program. Basically, a lot of swimmers get like impingement syndrome. A lot of that has to do with the rotator cuff. Your shoulder is a shallow ball and socket joint. Depends heavily on muscles for support and stability, and basically it's the rotator cuff that does most of it. So if you want to avoid a rotator cuff problem, this has a good program in it. Very briefly goes into like what is the rotator cuff. Has lots of pictures if you're a visual learner. Tells you what it does, what muscles are involved. Answers you need to know, you know, what are the symptoms of a tear? Are there any arm maneuvers that might indicate I have a tear? Where does it tear at? Are there different kinds of tears? I have a rotator cuff tear and I'm in a lot of pain. I need surgery, right? Well, not necessarily. Actually, this is a very evidence-based book. They answer that question by going over studies, and each of these squares is a study in layman's term. Basically, they take, look at the studies where you take a bunch of people with rotator cuff tears and you measure the size of the tear, and then you run a pain scale, see how bad they're hurting. And what they find is you can actually find a lot of people with big tears that have no pain. So you can actually have an asymptomatic rotator cuff tear. That's actually really common. And likewise, you can have somebody that has a small tear that has a lot of pain. So using pain as a sole criteria for surgery is not a good idea. What will happen if I just leave my rotator cuff tear alone? Here again, they collect all the studies, go over those where you take a bunch of people that have rotator cuff tears that don't get treatment, and then you follow them for 5 or 10 years and see what happens to them. Better, same, worse, does it repair itself? Here's probably the best one. So how does how does exercise compare to surgery when it comes to treating a torn rotator cuff? Good question. Here again, answer that question. You look at the randomized controlled trials. That's the highest form of proof in medicine that a treatment's actually effective. If you go ahead and that'd be you take 100 people with, say, a rotator cuff tear, 50 you randomize to surgery, the other 50 you randomize to an exercise program, and then you follow them over time, you know, like 6 months, a year, a couple of years. Some of these studies are, you know, go on for years. And you find out who does better in the long run. Well, come to find out, this book compiled all the studies, the results, and basically the findings were quite consistent. Whether you have surgery or whether you do a good exercise program, you're going to end up at the same place. So to that end, the book has an exercise program, has a beginning, intermediate, advanced. So it's really something for everyone. But yeah, swimmers and rotator cuff problems kind of go hand in hand. So having a strong rotator cuff will help your swimming, period. But yeah, if you're thinking of doing some open water swimming or you do triathlons and you want to learn more about it and improve your speed, this is a great resource. So definitely check it out.